So I've lowered the painting on the easel quite a bit. Now I'm going to be sitting in front of it. On a larger canvas, I really enjoy standing up, but because I have such high values, in this area, it seemed to me that when I reviewed my own video, that this was blinding the area between my white hair and my arm being so close to my overhead lamp. The colors weren't coming through, things weren't showing up as well as they should. So I am going to sit now and work on it further. As you can see, I've introduced quite a bit more color below that mountain. I've gone into yellow ochre and alizarin crimson, and into this area, that low evening sun, it can even make a tree line appear to be quite warm and reddish. And then we're on the shady side of this saddle here, so I've laid in a few strokes of some snow with no sunlight on them, and that's just ultramarine blue and a bit of alizarin crimson and white. We'll go from there. So I'm trying to do a reasonable job of putting in an intermediary hill here. Like, there's this hill in the foreground, and then this one's a little farther away, but I don't know that I want it catching much light. So I cannot go too dark on it, and I've already been doing that. And what I would like to do is use a little more ultramarine blue. In order to keep it broken up, or no, in order to keep it looking a little bit distant. So I'm kind of playing, really, to be honest with you, in a way. It doesn't have direct sunlight on it, but it's not dark either. It's just kind of having some interest, but not too much. Okay, that's a bit too white. It's not the most important hill, but it's important enough. And I'm going to cut this tree down and this tree down. I don't want it as light as it's appearing at the moment. In fact, it doesn't even have to intersect with it doesn't even have to cut very far into this hill. Alright, I think that's in the right direction. Just impressions now. Don't get hung up on detail. Yeah, I don't mind that this stretch of it is actually a bit darker. That's okay. One thing I'd like to do is redefine that little spot. Yeah, I think that's doing okay. That's doing well enough. Whoops. Too light. Yeah, I'm gonna do away with that too. I don't want that tree intersecting that either, so off we go. Off with its head. Off with its head, okay. Well, give it a bit of shape. And you know, I lay paint off and then I cut it, and I lay paint in and then I cut it out, and then I lay it in and I cut it out. And I regularly wipe paint off of my knife. And I really try to avoid thinking to myself, oh, that's a waste of paint. It's not. Those are decisions that you make. And you have to stick to them, or change them later. But in your decision-making process, never sacrifice a good decision just because you think you're going to waste some paint. Take a chance. Just don't worry about it. So just put more on my palette and then laid it on with my knife, and almost everything I just laid on with my knife just now is going to come off. Okay, that's too intense. Whoops. All right. Now a few shots of straight ultramarine blue and white. And as I lay them on the painting, it will mix with the colors that are in behind it. So I don't have to mix the perfect. Value and temperature. I just have to guess and actually The rest almost always takes care of itself. No, I've still gone too dark up there. Which means I'm going to get rid of even more of these colors. You know, it may look good as it sits right now, but I have to bear in mind that I'm going to be laying more color on this canvas. So I can't use up all my drama on a middle distant hill. All of my darkest darks to all of my lightest lights. I have to reserve that. I have to reserve my darkest darks and my lightest lights. Well, my lightest lights are used here. My darkest darks are going to have to be here in the foreground. Just to keep it looking somewhat plausible. Okay, you know what's happening now? I've had a good day of painting and I'm starting to make some weak decisions. So maybe the best thing for me to do is shut it down for the day. I'm losing my confidence in the deliberation of the strokes. And yeah, when you get to that point, maybe it's best just to say enough now. So, enough now. Thanks for peeking, guys. I'll probably leave it at that for now. So I sat in front of this painting and after the last video, groomed this, got this figured out. I'm quite happy with the distance for the most part. There still will be the odd stroke. I always reserve that. I never complete an area, like not the sky, not the mountaintops. There is no plane in here that is 100% finished, or I don't count on it to be finished until all my information is on the painting, because all the colors are relative to each other, as are the values. So what I did here, to start with, I used a lot of ultramarine blue and a bit of burnt sienna and some white. And I thought, oh, I'll take some ultramarine blue and lay it in quite dark, and it was looking okay. And then I sat back for a while and I didn't like it at all. So scraped pieces of it off, and I've gone in here with really I scraped it off, although I didn't use the toilet paper and suck all the paint off there. I just got most of the pigment off. Then I went back into it with straight ultramarine blue, here and there hints of alizarin crimson and white, and made, I put in broader, stronger strokes, not worrying too much about everything. And my first attempt at this area would really have been ultimately a death by 1,000 cuts, a death by 1,000 knife strokes. Now I'm more happy with it, and as I come forward, and that's part of the danger of sitting in front of the canvas. I explained to you, why I've dropped the canvas. I'm sitting in front of it now, but it is a great danger of sitting in front of a canvas because you don't tend to lay on a few strokes and then back up and have a look. You tend to just keep going and going and going. Anyway, that plane's done now. Very happy with it. Not sure what I'm going to do with all this yet, but I'm going to have to make a very definite point of backing up a lot and using larger, stronger strokes, or I will lose that loose feeling. And it's already tighter than I want it to be up here. Anyway, maybe that's just my eternal enemy regarding painting. Talk to you soon, guys.